The Nikon Zf is confirmed to be announced tomorrow, September the 20th, and the time frame is shaping up to be a late one. Well, it's going to be late if you live outside of Asia. Want to know more? Well, stick around after this short break for all the details. But first, please subscribe to this channel and follow me on X, formerly known as Twitter. It really helps this channel get noticed and helps this channel grow. Nikon Rumors says that the Nikon Zf will be announced this week, likely around Tuesday near midnight. Previously, the Camera Insider had called for an announcement on September the 20th, but Nikon Rumors recommended caution as the Camera Insider didn't really have a good track record, at least when it came to Nikon gear. But they did give them credit for being spot on with the latest Tamron announcement. So, the Nikon Zf is finally happening. Finally happening after teasing us for 6 to 8 weeks on Sony Alpha Rumors, Nikon Rumors, and the Camera Insider. The Nikon Zf is a retro-looking, cool-styled camera similar to the Nikon ZF-C, but with a 24.4 megapixel backside illuminated full-frame sensor, an XB7 image processor, and many capabilities that makes it a good general-purpose camera, shooting 4K up to 60 frames per second and up to 30 frames per second stills. But there are some capabilities such as having dual card slots, and that in itself isn't strange, but with one of those being a micro SD card slot, that one certainly is. Although, to be fair, Canon with their R5 does have two card formats, the SD card as well as CF Express Type B. But let's get back to the Nikon Zf, the announcement. It's scheduled to be tomorrow on or around midnight. But this is where time zones give me a bit of a headache. I queued up this website, World Time Buddy, to help make things a little bit easier to understand and less confusing. A midnight announcement tomorrow, Eastern Standard Time, is no longer Tuesday, it's actually Wednesday, unless of course you're on the Pacific Coast or in Chicago in Central Time. And if you're in Europe, the announcement time happens early in the morning, 6 a.m. Rome, or 1 hour earlier in London, and 1300 hours Japanese local time. This isn't just one source saying this. We have Sony Alpha Rumors, Nikon Rumors, and the Camera Insider all saying that the Nikon Zf is going to be announced tomorrow on or around midnight Eastern Standard Time. And that's good news. We finally have them all agreeing on the same date and time. So that means it's going to happen tomorrow night on or around midnight, right? Well, not exactly. Have you noticed that something's missing? Have you checked your inbox? Have you checked Nikon's website? You might notice that we don't as yet have a scheduled event. We also don't have any press release, at least at the time of recording this video. So what that tells me is that anything can change right up until the last moment. If you recall, with the Canon EOS R6 announced on November the 2nd, 2022, it was scheduled for a daytime announcement, Japanese local time. But what happened last minute? Well, it got moved forward and we had an announcement late in the evening, Eastern Standard Time. So unless you see an official announcement, things can change at the last minute. And I would say they could change possibly up until 12 hours before the announcement. So instead of having the announcement tomorrow night around midnight Eastern Standard Time, they could decide at the last minute, hey, we're going to announce it in the morning or 1300 hours Japanese local time. And that would put it right around, well, 10 a.m., 11 a.m. in the morning, Eastern Standard Time. But for now, we're going to go with that time. If the date changes or the time changes in any way whatsoever, then go ahead and follow me on X, or make sure you're following me on X because I'll tweet it out there. But if we just have a date time, that's not enough to put out a whole separate video because that would take, what, 10 seconds? The intro would be longer than just saying the date has changed, so I would tweet that out. And then to welcome in the Nikon Zf, tomorrow night at 10:30 Eastern Standard Time, I'm going to have a live stream with a live panel of guests. Well, it wouldn't make sense to have dead guests, would it? So I'm going to have a live panel of guests to take your questions. We're going to talk about the latest leaked specifications of the Nikon Zf, the latest leaked images. We're going to look at things that seem a little bit strange, like having dual SD card slots, but one of them being a micro SD card slot. That seems a little bit strange. We're also going to talk about pricing, $18.99, $19.99, or $21.99, and whether this camera somehow fits between the Nikon Z6 Mark II and what we expect to see in the Nikon Z6 Mark III, a camera that we were hoping to get announced sometime this year, but as we're rapidly approaching October, there's no indication that we are getting the Nikon Z6 Mark III this fall. Nikon Zf, that's the focus right now. We're going to talk about the latest leaked specifications, the images, and I'm going to ask my panel of guests what you would do if you were the president of Nikon. And then as soon as we have the announcement, as soon as the announcement goes live, I'm going to have a few other guests on the channel. They have their own YouTube channel, and they have the cameras in hand. They've been testing the Nikon Zf, they've been using them, and they're going to come on this channel to talk about their experience with the camera, and most importantly, take your questions. So starting at 10:30, we have full coverage of the Nikon Zf pre-show, post-show, and we have recommendations, as well as we'll have the pre-order links. So all this coming up tomorrow, and if you want to stay up to date on the latest camera gear news and rumors, then don't forget to subscribe to this channel. I cover all the major camera gear news and rumors. And for all those news stories that aren't quite big enough to have their own separate video, then go ahead and follow me on Twitter, formerly known as X. So tomorrow's shaping up to be a very interesting day. All things are pointing towards a near midnight announcement Eastern Standard Time. It could happen at 11:45, September the 19th. I've seen that happen before too. It's really strange how they do this. And sometimes what they will do is they try to keep the date the same, and having it at midnight would mean it's September the 20th, most places in the world. But that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again soon.